Thank you for the warm welcome, for that introduction, and for the kind words. But thanks to this group. I'm inspired by your opening and listening to you all. We all know that there is so much turmoil and unrest in the world, and the fact that you all are paying such close attention gives me heart. So thank you, and thank you for having me today. Um, I am, as you said, I am the director of County to County, and we are a project of the Orange County Democratic Party. I put together some slides to accompany my talk today, but I do want to keep it informal. Feel free to ask questions at any point, and I'll certainly be happy to answer questions at the end. But I wanted to give you guys an overview of our mission and what we're trying to do. I see a lot of people on this call that are already familiar with County to County, but I am excited to share our work with the rest of you. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen and do these slides. Sorry, I'm going to try to adjust this a little bit. So County to County is a project of the Orange County Democratic Party in North Carolina. We were born out of the 2016 election where we were all pretty devastated. Orange County, as you know, is a really blue county. We are fortunate to never have trouble electing Democrats to all positions at our local levels. And so we thought, well, why don't we take volunteer resources and energy and put them to work elsewhere in the state, where we can really make a difference, where a few hundred votes or some extra activism could really make a difference. We decided at that point to focus on the North Carolina General Assembly. For all the reasons Karen said, this is in North Carolina, especially a crucial source of power. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We are a grassroots organization, meaning, we are busy all year round, all the time, every year. And we're all volunteers. We also, in our odd years, work with county parties in swing districts across the state, because we really believe that strong county parties are the key to creating lasting change in electing Democrats across the state. We really want county parties to be empowered to recruit their own, core volunteers, to build that infrastructure so that they can support counties up and down the ballot, so they can support candidates up and down the ballot in their own counties. We have so many strong county parties already and a lot of hardworking people. So we just try to listen and help where we can. We also believe that strong candidates at the state legislative level can win. Even with these gerrymandered maps, there are a lot of swing districts, and we'll talk about that in a minute too. We have some amazing Democrats that have stepped up to run this year, and they're all inspired, they're all angry about losing the majority. And I think that we have a really good chance of electing some of these Democrats and regaining the governor's veto, the power to help him sustain that veto. We take time to really get to know the campaigns, the candidates that we're working with. We try to sit with them, we listen, we try to figure out where we can be the most helpful. But of course, you all know, I don't have to sell you on the idea that talking to voters is the absolute most important thing that we can do. And so we do that through canvassing, through phone banking, through postcarding, sometimes through texting. We create resources and handouts for county parties and candidates to utilize if they wish. We have a Latino engagement team that reaches out bilingually. We run phone banks with bilingual speakers so that we can reach even more voters. We also help behind the scenes. We have a great team of volunteers who are using Vote Builder and other systems year in and year out. So we also try to provide as much behind the scenes help to campaigns and parties as we can. Basically, we'll do whatever we can do as long as it's legal to help Democrats win these seats. So I'll back up and say why we focus on the state legislature. I don't have to sell you guys on this, but I thought it was worth mentioning again that North Carolina's General Assembly is one of the most powerful state legislatures in the US. And North Carolina's governor didn't even gain the right to veto legislation until I think the 1990s or something. So the legislature is really the source of power in this state. And the legislation, the horrible legislation that's affecting us every day, is decided by this body. And you can pick your favorite topic. I named just a few here, but there are certainly more that are coming before the legislature now. Public school funding, Medicaid expansion, and healthcare policy, which includes abortion access or the lack of it. Common sense gun laws. Republicans, of course, have made it easier to get guns in North Carolina. They have blocked transparency in government. And of course, the gerrymandered state maps that we're working with are a result of this body. So we really believe that it's super important to focus our attention here on the state legislature. As you can see, like state legislative races are won and lost in swing districts on not very many votes. And so that's another reason that we focus on the state legislature, is that we know that when we work in a certain district, that our efforts can actually make a big difference on the outcome of the election. You can see some close wins and losses from 2022. The districts we work in are usually won or lost by 3 percentage points or less. You can see some razor thin victories and losses here in 2022. And so this is another reason why we focus our efforts on the state legislature. We also really believe in the power of getting people out to vote for people that they know. Even when people feel like Washington, the federal level policy is not taking their needs into consideration or doesn't have much to do with them, they believe, they know that their state legislature representatives are working for them, and they're people that they usually know or know of. And so we think that by motivating voters to turn out to vote for their representative, they will also vote up ballot. We also know that there's a lot of ballot drop-off that happens from the top of the ticket down, because a lot of time people don't feel informed. And so we want to get their state reps' names in front of them so that they feel informed to make a decision and not drop off and not stop voting all the way down the ballot. We truly believe that there is a path to breaking the supermajority in 2024. I've highlighted here the true swing districts in the state legislature in 2024. These are seats that are actually in play. They could go either way. They are close. You can see that there are 6 of these districts in the Senate, and there are 10 of these districts in the House. As you know, we only need to break the supermajority in one of the chambers. And so if we win 4 seats in the House or 4 seats in the Senate, Democrats will regain the power to override or to block an override of the governor's veto, which we've seen is so important. Before Republicans gained the supermajority, Governor Cooper had used his veto power about 65 times, and every time it was upheld. And since then, of course, he has not been able to sustain a veto. So how do we do this? You all know talking with voters is really the only way to measurably affect turnout. And so we do this in a number of ways. We do a small, very targeted postcard writing campaign. The campaigns direct us to reach out to voters that they would otherwise have trouble reaching. And usually it's in rural areas where canvassing is just really, really difficult. We do canvass, we door to door, we knock on doors. This, of course, is the most effective thing you can do to increase voter turnout. So we take volunteers to these areas and we knock on doors. And we phone bank. This is a particularly effective method as well, just because we can expand our reach into places where we can't reasonably canvass on a regular basis, just because most of our volunteers are located here in the Triangle. But we phone bank, and we find a lot of success with that method as well. As long as you're having a genuine conversation with a voter, it makes a difference. And this is substantiated in Get Out the Vote, which I'm sure most of you have read, Donald Green and Alan Gerber's sort of gold standard book on turning out the vote. And we see here, this just sort of illuminates for us and validates the work that we're doing. As you have more and more personal touches with voters, the methods become more effective, as you might suspect. And so you can see that whereas big campaigns, book mailings, TV ads really have a negligible effect on turning out the vote, as you get more personal with a handwritten postcard, phone banking conversations, or canvassing, your effect increases. We phone bank and canvass all year, almost every year. In odd years, we often help these get people to precinct meetings and phone bank to do municipal races. Obviously, in even election years, we really focus on candidates. And so far in 2024, our volunteers have already made almost 11,000 calls and knocks, which is key to getting these legislators elected. In these early phone banks, we are often introducing incumbents to their new constituents in these newly drawn districts that were drawn specifically to try to gerrymander them out. We are finding volunteers for candidates. We're calling high support Democrats who we can mobilize on behalf of these campaigns. And we're discovering what issues are most important to voters so that candidates can actually craft their messaging based on what their constituents are thinking about. P.S., as you can see at the bottom, top issues that we're finding so far are the economy and jobs, education, healthcare, and reproductive rights. And all of this work is done by all volunteers. So we have hundreds of volunteers that we mobilize each year, and they get so much work done. It's really amazing the difference that they're making across the state. But there's more. We also, in 2021, we sat down with candidates that we had supported in 2020, and we said, what else do you need? What else could we possibly do? And all of them said, 100% of them said, we need paid canvassing. We need local residents to knock on doors, to talk to people in their local districts. We love you guys from Orange County, but we can't send you to every single precinct in our district because you stand out like a sore thumb, and so we decided that we would try to run a paid canvassing program for these candidates. So we began fundraising for the program in early 2022 and also investigating how to run this type of program. We were able to raise about $200,000 for this program. And because we're an all volunteer organization and did not have our own structure for supporting the payroll, hiring, that sort of infrastructure, we worked with a nationally known vendor to run this program. We worked all across the state, again, for state legislative candidates. We worked across the state in 9 districts, and we also supported Ricky Hurtado's own field program with the dollars we raised. We were able to knock 43,300 doors with this program. This was just a GOTV program. It ran from September to, or from early October through Election Day. And we were pleased that we were able to knock that many doors. We were equally pleased, even more pleased to see that it worked. We did a deep dive on the data after this program. We were very pleased to see that voters we talked with versus the voters on our list we weren't able to reach voted at about a 12.2% increase. This is huge because, as you saw before, these are districts that are won or lost on just a few percentage points. So we were pretty excited to see those results, and excited enough that we decided we would run this program again in 2024. Again, and this is just a slide reminding you of, setting paid canvassing in context in general, but then our We Can program, which, broken down by the numbers, really made a huge difference in the districts we were in. We think our targeting, working directly with the campaigns to figure out which voters to talk to, led to the success of our rate. 1 in 8 contacts we were very pleased with. And then I just wanted to break it down for you just a little bit more to see a real district. This was a 13 percentage point increase in Diamond, State, and Williams district. And of course, you all know that she was one of the shining stars in 2022, flipping a district that had been red for a long time. And you can see the difference in percentage of turnout based on our results. So we decided in 2024 to run the program again, as I said, and we're going big this time. We want to go deep in every district that we work in. We realize that that is a better strategy than taking on a lot of districts in smaller numbers. So we plan to knock between 7,000 and 8,000 doors in every district that we take on this year. We hope to work in at least 5 districts. This would be with more than 5 candidates, as a lot of times in the swing districts, we have an overlapping Senate and a House seat. And so we get to knock 1 door for 2 candidates, which is great. But we decided that we would like to work in at least 5 districts. So, and it takes about $50,000 to $60,000 to work in 1 district to run this program. And so we have a minimum fundraising goal of $250,000 this year. We're doing well. We've received a lot of interest in the program, and we're inching up. We're about $230,000 raised so far. So we're pleased with that progress. Wow. So how can you help? There are so many ways for you to get involved in county to county, and we hope that you're inspired as we are to really help with these state legislative races. And so we would love for you to join our volunteer force, phone banking, canvassing, postcarding. If you're interested more behind the scenes, I'm glad to talk with you more about that as well. Every conversation with a voter matters. And so if we can mobilize you guys to get involved, we're so happy to do that. And of course, you can donate. We are continuing to raise money so that we can talk to even more voters through a paid canvassing program. And so any support, any volunteering, spreading the word, getting people knowledgeable about the state legislature and why these races are so important, getting your friends out to vote, driving a carpool to the polls, anything you can do to increase voting at the state legislative level and above is going to help everything statewide. My contact information is here on this slide. Please feel free to reach out anytime. I'm always happy to answer additional questions or hook you up with volunteering. So feel free at any time to contact me if there's anything I can help you with at all. So I know there are probably a lot of questions. I want to, again, kind of keep this informal and happy to take any questions that you guys might have.